Hi, everybody. Katniss has started right away with wanting to be a star. Come on, Katniss. Hi, everybody. I hope you are all doing well. Happy Father's Day to any fathers out there. I hope everyone has had a lovely Sunday. Happy Juneteenth from yesterday. What lovely celebrations. I hope you were able to have some time maybe at a festival or maybe doing some reading or watching a movie or whatever. And also happy Pride Month. And in honor of Pride, I have finally started Drag Race. No spoilers. I know I'm behind. Please be kind. All right. We have a couple of announcements, and I'm going to do a little sharing of the screen here because Suzanne Matai is doing her workshops. I'm really excited about this. So let me make sure and get this on so you all can see it. And here it is, Register Now, Acting for Everyone. This one is the classes for youth, as you can see, and I just made that small. I did not mean to do that. She has classes starting up in July. The June session's already been taken, but July 13th through August 17th, there you go, 6 weeks. That is a great deal. I will put the link also in the chat. And then also, let me come back because she's got another session. That was for the youth, but she also has, sorry, I'm slow at this today. Acting for Everyone Family Edition. Yes, no one is left out. Gather your household, join them for classes. Also July 13th through August 17th, and that is $90 for 6 weeks. And that is a really great deal for acting classes. So I hope everybody has a chance to take advantage of that. Yay. And then also, this is the last day to see Bear, which Sam Janfala is in. So make sure you have until midnight. So make sure and catch that before that runs out today. And then the only other shows that I have to announce are our virtual shows. Today is also the last day for the test. So if you haven't seen it or you just want to watch it a couple more times, you've got until, okay, I'm going to say midnight, but let's also know that, I'm not going to do it until the morning. So this is your last time. So get it in before I take it offline. But opening tonight is a wonderful show, Poetry, Prose, and Pirates. And today I have the cast and director. So before we get on to the meat of our show, I want to do a land acknowledgement of the ancestral lands of the Tongva people that we are all on here in Southern California. And I hope you take a moment to acknowledge the ancestral lands that you are on. All right. And now, without further ado, I would like to bring on the director of Poetry, Prose, and Pirates, Catherine Rom, and her lovely cast, Ben and Patty Lepincas, Joan Kubicek, Michelle Salen, and Zara Zaveri. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you all so much for being on the show.
We're glad to be here.
Thank you so much. This is such a silly, crazy, fun piece. And also why we don't talk about ideas in public. So, which I just had this experience not long ago. Before we get into the meat of the show, I would like each of you to give us a quick Reader's Digest version of where you're from, how you got into theater, and how you heard about Kentwood. And Kat, I know you've been on before, but let's get a super brief version of that. I'll have you go first.
Okay, well, I have been a member at Kentwood for over 20 years. I've been a resident in Los Angeles for probably over 30 years, and we won't narrow it down any more than that. I came over to go to college, and I stayed. Kentwood has been my theater home for many years, but I do work at a lot of other spaces as well. And the opportunity to do some of these virtual things was one I couldn't pass up.
I love it. Thank you. Ben and Patty, do you want to go next and give us a Reader's Digest version?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to say this is Patty Butler. When we
Patty
got
Butler.
when we got married, it'll be about I think 32 years this November. When we got married, I'll have to do the dates in my head. She decided not to take my name. In fact, she offered her name. I'm Ben Lupakis. You can see where that offer went at that time.
I kind of think Ben Butler would have been a great name.
It would have, and there actually is a Ben Butler in history.
That's why I'm not a Ben Butler, because it's already one. But there's only one Ben Lupakis.
That's fair.
Anyway, I'm from Virginia originally. Went to Virginia Tech. You can see it all over my gear that I wear. Spent some time in New York. Came out to California in 1980, actually, to go to UCSD to pursue an MFA in theater, or in drama. I guess they called it drama. And after that, did a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Ended up in San Francisco, where I met this lovely lady. We did Tintypes together in 1984. And then we moved down here, I guess, she in 89, me in 90. And I've been with Kentwood since 1998. Didn't do a lot for a long time because it was a struggle just to make ends meet. So when I found Kentwood, which was nice, even though it was an all-volunteer organization, I could still take care of what I needed to take care of and earn the daily bread or whatever the case may be and enjoy the craft. So I've been with Kentwood since 1998. Directed there, acted there. This is like my third on-camera Zoom production. Samantha and you and I did one for another theater, not to be named here. And then I did another one for that same group, and then we just finished this with Catherine. It was a challenge because I felt like I played the straight man, and I like to have some comedy, and I don't know how funny my role actually is. I think my role is funny because I'm so hapless. I think that's what makes it funny. I am sort of the Dokes. What's the guy's name? Joe Dokes. I'm the Joe Dokes of this piece. So at any rate, but I've enjoyed it and enjoyed working with her, and I'm going to turn it over to Patricia Butler.
Patricia Butler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I was born in New York, but I was raised in LA. And my cousin was in a diverse production of A Midsummer's Night Dream.
Awesome.
So I saw Black and brown and Asian and Caucasian people all working together. And even though this was middle school, these people were kicking much butt. And I said, that's what I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. There is nothing else. This is it.
I love it. Yes.
But I also like to pay the rent. So.
Yes, I understand that. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Yes, that's true. Thank you for the corrections. And then also before I move on to Joan, I want you to know that the fans really like Ben Butler, Ben. So we're hoping that you'll keep this into consideration.
They like Ben Butler, but it doesn't go with this face. So if someone else can be Ben Butler, this guy is still this guy.
Got it.
Listen, my dad passed on in 2015, and I saw my stepmom a year and a half later, and she started to cry. She said, "You look just like your dad."
Aww.
So I can't give that up.
You can't give
last name.
That's fair.
But thanks to the fans for making my whole life seem like a lie.
Well, I think they maybe just want an alter ego of you. They want you to start like writing graphic novels or something. As Ben.
You know what? I will go halfway. I'll become Ben Stewart because that is a butler, but it's not their choice. Can I do that? Is that fine?
Yeah, well, this is another slave name. Butler is not a slave name. Stewart is a slave name, but Butler was we got to get in the Underground Railroad and get out of here name.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'm going to have a much longer conversation with you about this for sure.
Anytime.
I love it.
Ironic that she doesn't like to be on camera or being interviewed at all, and now she opens doors for much more interviewing.
Well, that's not my fault. All right, Joan, let's go to you. If you could give us a little version of where you're from and how you got into theater and how you heard of Kentwood.
I also got married and didn't change my name, so I understand, which was stupid because my whole life I thought if I got married, I'm changing it because Kubitschek is like I've been Kubitschek, other horrible variations of Kubitschek. And then I married a guy named Dunn, and I just thought, I can't be Joan Dunn. That's like something falling down the stairs, like Joan Dunn. Joan Dunn. So I kept Kubitschek, and I feel like a Kubitschek, so it's fine.
It works for you.
Yeah, thank you. That wasn't the question you asked. I am from New Jersey originally. I've been here 12 years. I came out here for an MFA in screenwriting, which I promptly didn't use, but I have it here so I can look at it. I have. So if anyone, it's next to my husband's karate certificate from like 8th grade. So we've both achieved a lot of things. What was the question? Oh, theater. I was like a homely little kid with a cowlick and big Coke bottle glasses, and I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was chubby, and I liked to read when everybody else was doing athletic things. And there was a talent show, and I signed up, and everybody thought, oh, she's too shy. But I did a bump and grind to Lollipop, Lollipop, and everyone cheered. I thought, oh, I like this. So I just kept doing it because I'm very shy and a little socially weird, as you might have picked up on. But on stage, I'm still socially weird, but it's more acceptable on stage. So that's why.
Oh my gosh. I love that. And I think we all can relate to that. I know I'll speak for myself. I can definitely relate to that. Most of that story.
Exactly the same. Exactly the same.
For my people. Thank you.
I love it. Yay. And how did you hear about Kentwood?
Oh, Kentwood has been on my radar for like a decade, but I always just missed the auditions or had something. And so finally, nothing was happening. And I thought, I wonder what Kentwood is doing. And finally, I was there right on time. So I thought, now that I'm pushing 40 and old, and I don't know what that has to do with it. Maybe they'll want me.
No one, okay, first of all, no one's believing that part about the age. No one's buying that.
22 and full of life.
There you go. Thank you. And secondly, I'm so glad that we got you because you are.
Yeah, it just took me a decade, but I'm here. I'm glad to be here.
Yay! Welcome. Oh, what a find. What a find. Yay. All right, Michelle, give us the oh yes, another little friend.
There's another cat. Yes. Okay. Well, thanks, Sam. Let's see. I grew up in New York and in Maryland. I didn't know you were from Virginia, Ben.
A lot of East Coasters here.
Yeah. Let's see. Moved out here in '98 when I was married, and then it was I never had a chance to do much theater before because I play the piano. And when I was in drama club way back when, they needed me to play the piano, so I never had a chance to do anything until I got divorced. And then I was like, now's my time.
Lots of chances.
That's right. Not going to stop me now. Yeah. So, and then 5 years ago was when I moved to the West Side, and I saw a Facebook posting about Kentwood. And I came out to audition for Imaginary Invalid, and I got the part. That was so exciting. Yeah. And I've been there ever since.
I love it. I'm so glad you got divorced and were able to start doing it.
Oh, believe me.
So
yeah.
Weird to say, but okay.
Me too.
Yay. Thank you, Michelle. Zara.
Hi.
Let's hear a little bit about you, please.
Sure. I'm originally from Karachi, Pakistan. That's where I was born. And then my family migrated over here to California, sunny California, pretty much the same kind of weather that we have there, except it's less humid here. And so I've been here for about 30 years. And I've went to a couple of plays at the Westchester Playhouse by Kentwood Players in the past, and then kind of COVID happened, and I was on their email list, and I got an email for a couple of different projects that were going on, and this one in particular, I was like, this sounds so cool, and so this has been like the highlight of my year, and it has been really a blessing to get such a wonderful script and story and a lovely group of people to work with. Everybody that was on the show, including our director, has been absolutely wonderful, and so it's really nice to get a good group of people.
Oh, yay. Yeah. Thank you. I'm so glad that we got you as well, and that you were on the mailing list and that we found you. Kat, kudos to you, because this is a great group of people.
I was really blessed. I had so many people that signed up to audition for this. I really was overwhelmed. And this, you never know who's going to want to do a little 10-minute online piece, but I had such an embarrassment of riches to choose from. And I really feel like I got the best possible person for each role, because everybody really gelled well together, and they really made, the script was a lot of fun to begin with, but once we were reading it with everybody in it, everybody brought so much to it. It just all exponentially grew in how funny it was.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, when we all first read this, I know, didn't you ask to direct this before we even talked about it?
I had, at the Herald, the Place Committee chair at the time sent out a batch, the next batch of these that we were looking at. And I probably, because I'm retired, I have more time on my hands than some people on the board. And so I read the email probably before anybody else. And so I read the plays probably before anybody else. And the minute I read this one, I didn't even look at the rest of them. I just immediately emailed Harold and said, I would like to direct that one. That one speaks to me on a number of levels. And that one sounds like a blast. So I managed to get myself in ahead of the rest of the pack. So
yes,
you snooze, you lose.
I mean, that's accurate. And we all, I think all of us at the board meeting, when it got voted in, 9 hands went up to direct it, and Harold was like, well, Kat's already claimed it. And we're like, oh. This was great. But I really, really loved what you did with this piece. And I don't want us to give any spoilers as we're talking, because the show opens at 8:15 today. Some people, obviously, if you're a member, and came to our meeting, you've already seen it. But we won't give spoilers to the rest of the people who haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But I would like to know what was what was the draw to this piece, to each of you, in wanting to audition for it and be a part of this? What was the thing that you really grabbed onto? And you go in any order that you want.
Oh, well, I could answer that real fast. The name Shelley, well, I'm a shell. And I've got this cool shirt. Look at that. I had to audition for this. Such a fun part, too. And I get to scream at people. I don't get to do that very often. I work for the Girl Scouts. So,
Yeah, I can't scream at the Girl Scouts. Oh my gosh, that's great.
I like the idea that we all think that only one person in the world created the wheel, or one person in the world lit fire, or made fire. It's like creation happens many different places. Now, in to be specific and not to give anything away, in relation to this piece, creation happens in one place, but that's okay. That's okay. I do remember years ago, I would do these little bits. I did an FM disc jockey and an AM disc jockey thing that I used to do, right? I would write a little this or a little that, and all of a sudden I'd see it someplace else, and you'd think immediately, they stole my idea, and then you think, I've never met them. They're 300 miles away. How did that possibly happen? But the point was that I had this feeling that my creative juices were being drawn off by somebody else. And that's why I go back to the idea that we always say the creation of the wheel meant the world, but I don't think it was just one person that created the wheel. I don't think it was the one person that harnessed fire. I just think that this spontaneous creation happens at specific times, but not here. And, and not to give it away, but not here. But that's sort of what drew me to it. And also it was the writer's ability to mine this idea through these various permutations and these various and very unique and distinct characters. I think that's what drew me to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is such a reflection. I mean, you bring up such a good point. And as I was thinking about, when I was posting this and thinking about writing about the show, like, what do I write? And I was like, this is just a brilliant satire of creativity and how we come about that. And now there are 70,000 platforms in which to put our art out. Yeah. Anybody else? What other things drew you, Zara, Jim, Patty?
For me, I've always loved any pieces that have an ensemble cast. I think for some reason I just gravitate towards them, and I think the more people, the merrier, and it really adds a certain spice and flavor. So when I read this and I read the little synopsis, just like there were like 9 hands that went up to direct it, I was like, "Ooh, I want to be a part of this." On any level that I can get in on. It just sounded so fun. And then when I read the script, I was like, oh, this is hilarious. I mean, the amount of character development that you can do with this, the amount of costumes and props and just choices and blocking, it had no limits. Like the script just had such potential that I was like, this sounds amazing. And it can be so funny in so many different ways. And I was just like, yes, please let me get this audition. And when I heard there was an overwhelming demand, I was like, I'm just going to have fun, audition for this and just let it go. And the very next day I get an email from our lovely director saying, I'd like to offer you a role. And I was like, yes.
I love it. Oh, that's awesome. I'm curious as to how this would work not on Zoom. I mean, it worked perfectly on Zoom. What do you all think about this transferring to real life stage?
I know I can see how it would work because and one of the things that sort of drew me to this piece as well is I used to be with a good friend of mine and a writing partner, Anita. We used to, and she still is, used to be members of a women's writing group. And we would meet once a week and everybody would present different things that they would work on. And it was exactly like this, except I will say the twists that happened in this one never actually turned up in any of the Wyman's group. But it was the different types of characters that you see in that really, when I read this piece, they really rang true. So I think you could do this with people all in a room, and it would be, like we would meet sometimes in like conference rooms or at restaurants or, sometimes somebody would have a classroom somewhere where you could meet. And so you could set that in any one of these. And in fact, I could see building across, expanding the piece into a little bit larger one where you would get a little bit more of each person's backstory and different meetings that they had been at going into this.
Yeah.
Where it would expand from that, you could have fun with as well.
There's a lot of playground room in this piece for sure.
But I agree with that, Sam, and I agree with that, Kat. I do think that, not to give anything away, that's always the proviso when we say this. If these people were in the same room together, they wouldn't have the protection of distance. I just say that because there's a point that comes where you can't write or talk anymore. You just got to come to blows. You got to bring up the hand. So I don't know if we were all in the same room, would we not have leapt across the table?
Yes, well, and that could be fun.
That could be
I can see hair pulling and
don't pull my hair. I don't have much left. Please leave my hair.
And again, not to give too much away, but there is a sword involved.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, I'm also going to say this, that Kat changed two of the characters from male to female characters. I think it really changed the dynamic of the play so much, and it was so much fun. And especially Joan's character, because she's okay, well,
You listen.
you'll love her. She's so funny.
If this were a 3-act play, we could give things away, but it's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You give something away, you've already covered 3 minutes of the script. So let's be careful.
Anyway, two of the characters have been changed to women. It really spices it up. Check it out.
And I was the only.
Guess who it is?
And I was the only fella.
Yeah.
That was an interesting. Well, that added to the Joe Dokes henpecked husband sort of a piece for me. He's the only guy in the room. Although I had competition for, and I'm not going to give it away. I'm just going to say I had competition for masculinity in that room. I'm just going to say that.
Zara, it looked like you were going to contribute.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I will say thank you so much to everyone who's putting all of these lovely, encouraging, and supportive comments up. I'm touched. They're absolutely wonderful. And when you asked that question, I had looked up this writer, and he has written a lot of pieces. And this particular piece, he specifically wrote for an online play, kind of like a Zoom play. And there is actually, without giving too much away, there's actually a line in the play that I think it works better if it's a virtual play versus if it were in real life. But there is a funny line in there. If you guys pay attention when you're watching, and you may be able to catch it, which kind of denotes that it has to be a virtual play.
Excellent. It's wonderful to hear that people adjusted so quickly to say, I'm going to write this for online.
I think it's wonderful.
I think online, and we talked about this at Kentwood, I think as we go back to live productions, which we will, and I think we're coming up, in September we're going to open?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
But we'll also continue to do the virtual series, because I think there's a market for this. And I think the market for this allows a lot of writers to get I'm going to try to get in the camera, a lot of writers to get, no, you come back. You were in camera. I'm going to go like this. We're like a couple. A lot of writers, a lot of chance to get their work out there. Because think about it. You don't have to write. And at Kentwood, I'll be honest, we do a lot of traditional pieces. We do the musicals that I've already done. We don't do a lot of new theater. This is new. This is exciting, and it gives people a chance to, hone their craft or, whet their chops or whatever the case may be to get their work out there, so they don't feel like they have to go a long way to get something produced. So I think that's a very positive thing about the online virtual theater that we're doing, and I know we're planning to continue.
And this is the first time I've been to rehearsals for a show in LA and not had to sit in traffic. That's never been a thing before. Virtual theater makes that happen.
Such a plus. Joan, you were going to...
I think two of the reasons I like this piece is, number one, that jerks never think they're jerks, and there are jerks in the world. So this piece is full of people who think they're justified, but it's full of jerks. But to them, they're the hero of their own story, and their stance on what they're doing, it's totally original. It's just, you're just backpacking, is that the word? On somebody else's idea, but your idea is fresh. But they're all horrible. Backpacking, what do people say? Words are hard. The second, what is it? Somersaulting? I'll think of it like when this thing is over.
Piggybacking is, I think, the word you're looking for.
Coattail. Okay.
Backpacking. I'm not drunk. I had a seltzer. And secondly, in this year I've been to so many Zoom, like this is about Zoom people who see each other every week, and I've been to Zoom classes where you see people every week, and so you're like, okay, that's the guy who always has oatmeal in his beard. That's the guy that shows pictures of kids.
Oh,
that's the guy that pontificates about politics. So I felt that this was a good representation of what we've all been dealing with on Zoom meetings.
Oh,
Anyway,
absolutely. Like, that's exactly what I thought as we're going through this. It is heightened for sure in the speed in which things happen.
Yeah.
But for sure, it's such a great
piggybacking.
I don't name drop because I don't think anybody I've ever worked with has had a career. I've met them, except for one person, maybe two. But when I was at UCSD, there was a man who came in from Czechoslovakia, and he was a visiting professor. His name was František Diak, and he was teaching us dramatic lit and theory. And the one thing he said, and I always hold this true and valid, he said there's a book out that says there's only 36 unique plots. There are only 36 unique plots. So maybe in our piece that we're doing with all 5 characters, we all believe that we're unique. We've created this all on our own. But yeah, I do believe that there's many permutations. I mean, let me ask you a question, and I'll ask everybody in the room and everybody out there. Why does one movie resonate with you more than another if you just lined up the plot? What did they do differently in one movie than another? Yeah. Or when you go to see theater, what makes that one different or resonate with you? And I think that's where when you really start analyzing this 10 minutes of our time, it was actually many rehearsals and much more. I think we did 6 takes the night we actually got the 10 minutes in the can.
I could have done more.
The fact is that what part of, I lost my train of thought. I'm very good with this. Where in that is the no, that wasn't your fault. It was mine completely. Where is that? Where does that seed of connectivity with the audience lie? And then are you the person, the conduit? You look at 5 people in the room, which play 5 characters. Were you the conduit for that? So is your interpretation of an idea better than the original that people will resonate with?
Right.
So I'm just validating cheating, lying, conniving people.
And interestingly enough, I mean, there are differences. You're seeing where the seed of it comes from, but each of them have a different aspect. And to your point, some people are going to resonate and go, that's the show I want to see. And it's been really interesting. I was in a show recently, pre-COVID, and I had lots of it spawned so many conversations, and my character was the comic relief of this show, and people would always come up to me. Some people were like, I want to see her story. Some people thought, oh, I think the story is about this thing and another aspect of the show, and it's just what resonates with the audience, exactly like you're saying, Ben. Mm-hmm. And I have my own preferences, listening to the different characters and their ideas of which stories I would like to see. Which I think, to Kat's point, there's a lot of things that can.
I am at a low ebb, and I need validation. So, everybody watching at home, pick me.
We're gonna do an audience.
Maybe we should set up like a little survey afterwards, and everybody can say which version did you want to see the most? Which
that's a brilliant idea.
And there's more than one thing that they can choose their options on, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's quite a few. That's brilliant, Kat. We're going to do it. I'm going to set it. You're all hearing it. I'm going to set it in the Facebook event.
It reminds me a little bit of going back to Drood that Ben and Patty were both in, that I directed, the first show I directed at Kentwood, where the audience literally gets to vote on what happens with certain characters at different points throughout the show. And there's different songs, we had to learn all the extra songs, and everybody had to, because they never knew, are you going to be the murderer this time? Are you going to be chosen to be this character? Are you going to be the one that takes this twist? Because you got to be ready if the audience voted for you, and you're going to suddenly hear the band play your song, and it's like, you had better be ready for it, because this time it's up for you. So we can see each one be their own little thing.
Yeah. All right, Cass, that means you gotta, whatever your character's idea is, if you win the audience poll, we're gonna want to see
it. Yay! I know they will be so happy.
I brought my notebook tonight, and I also have my pills. No, I have my headphones from the event as well. So, Zara, I like the puppets, but I'll be honest with you. Let's see. Hold on. Is this the book I?
Oh no, he's got a whole notebook full.
In here, there are notes, and I don't want you to be able to read them because I'll give away the plot. But every time I was sitting there, and during some of the takes, I got so interested in my notes that I forgot to do some business. Another time, I got so interested in what the character was saying, I forgot to do business. So, of course, Kat had the opportunity to pick the best one, and I don't even know what that looks like because I couldn't make the meeting. So, anyway, but I have my notes. See, there's
well, at 8:15, you'll be able to watch and see which one got chosen.
Well, I'll also say that I have a little prop. It's actually a piece of costuming. And if any member wants it, if anybody writing to you would like to have it, please let me know. I will send it to them. I'll make sure that they get it in good condition.
And
I know Sam, what it is.
Well, go get it. Go get it.
And unlike
you, Sam, my costume wardrobe is very minimal. If they did a show about Virginia Tech, I'd have a slew of things to wear it, but I don't. But I did 2 shows this spring, and in this show, I have. By the way, I can live my whole life in a chair, so everything I need is right here next to me. But I have this hat that I wore, and Kat knows that this is from working. This was my character from working. So I did some working stuff for this that we did years ago. Again, not saying. And then for another show that I did recently, I pulled out some Edwin Drood stuff. Now, nothing fits. The hat fits. My face has not gotten as heavy as the rest of me, but nothing else really fit. In fact, if you go and see the Gilbert and Sullivan, the secret is that the coat was long enough to hide the fact that I couldn't close my pants. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, in Zoom and in theater, we don't have to fit into things anymore.
No,
it's fine.
It's lovely. I don't want to go back to live theater. Here's the hat.
Here's my little
you get it on the screen. There you go.
piece. And it's a procrastinator. And it's got an inkwell and a little quill. And it says, "Once upon a time," because she thinks she's a writer. And if anybody wants this.
Would you doff it for us, please?
Well, 90 West is saying that hat was fabulous. I'm also agreeing we may have to auction it off. Or there might be...
Up to you.
Now, our cats are actually fighting over this hat because they feel it will fit them perfectly. So we have to decide who gets the hat. It's head size for a hat. Look at that. Go right on a cat's head. So it's.
No, but it's interesting that people are talking about the hat and the various other things that we did, but that's one thing that maybe you don't notice it as much when you're watching a Zoom piece, but it's still critical. And the cast will, I'll tell you that I talked to him about this initially, is because you're in such a fixed space, all we're seeing is this little square of you. Everything you wear, everything that's in your background, any prop you pick up, all of that is helping subliminally build your character so that we know where you're coming from and we know more about you, because you just don't have a lot of dialogue to establish that. You need to have these little shortcuts, and each and every one of them came up with some wonderful little things that they used to help that. And Joan's T-shirt, if you pay close attention to that, when you watch it, it was perfect. It said everything that you needed to know about Vera, and everybody had their own little things that they came in, and all of Michelle's notebooks that she had stacked up with all of her notes in them, and my God, Zara and her props, including
I know
so many.
There was. Do you get your stuff on eBay, or do you actually own that stuff?
This I drew. If anybody wants it after the show, they can have it.
Joan and her T-shirt, was that something you went and shopped for, or did you actually own?
I own 2 of them in different. One long sleeved, one short, one scoop neck, one V. What are you gonna do? You can't.
Oh my gosh!
Get him some screen time, Joan. Get him some screen time.
Oh, this makes me so happy.
What's this?
Also had a quill.
This was another prop on the show.
Ooh.
It's
I love that.
show it.
Show the prop. Show the prop.
I mean, that is gorgeous.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then
I
we
think-
pick backgrounds too. So what you see here.
We also have a quill, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nibs and a little bottle of ink.
Oh, wow.
I feel like you've entered an old folks' home and we're telling you our stories.
I feel
They may have it as well.
We could actually auction that off, but it's like
I feel like we're on a theater roadshow.
1998 when I wore a chartreuse caftan and a fez. I remember that day. It just
It's so interesting because we're talking about this virtual theater, and I have to say, yes, everybody's background, the fact that Michelle was only one in an office setting spoke volumes about her, like right from the beginning, about her character and how she's approaching everything, and how right from the beginning we learn about the incident that starts it all, if you will. And Ben, you brought up earlier, and Daniel mentions this too, about virtual theater continuing, and he says he loves it, and he agrees it gives so many people opportunities, writers, directors, actors, to continue to do things. And it is such a different, it's a hybrid of film and theater, if you will, because we're not going total film. We don't have different viewpoints or close-ups on these cool props that you're talking about. It is a hybrid. What were the things that you found the most challenging and then the most rewarding doing the Zoom theater?
not looking at myself in the camera. I found myself clocking me. And I don't know if it shows when you see it, but it's very difficult to have a mirror in front of you, which is, of course, the camera, and you feel like you're looking at it. And the irony of that is when I try to do commercial taping before and stuff like that, I felt so self-conscious about looking at the lens, but not here. I could stare at apparently I love myself so much I could stare at myself for hours, or at least for 10 minutes. And I found that a little bit disconcerting because I found myself saying, I started the things, and Kat's worked with me a number of times as a director, and Sam, you and I have worked on stage. The rest are new, and Patty's worked with me as a director and actress. I found myself grading my reactions, and that's not what theater is, and that's not what anything should be. And that's what I felt most disconcerting about doing this type of format.
Right. That's a very interesting challenge. I find it sometimes even doing these, I try to always just make sure I'm looking at everybody else, because otherwise I'm like, oh no, oh gosh, oh heaven, but yeah. And then also when you're acting, you're trying to stay invested in what's going on with the other people, and it's really hard when you're looking at yourself.
Well, so much of acting it's reacting, and if you're not right next to somebody, it's different. That's all. But it was at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun though, and I think we got the hang of it. Just took a little getting used to. That's all.
Did you? Oh,
I just wanted to say it's definitely a horse of a different color. I try not to look at myself. I have to be aware that I have to be in frame, and Kat gave us some, she gives you your notes and she wants certain things a certain way, and you got to be aware of that at all times. But at the same time, you're trying to be aware of your relationship with the other characters. You're trying to be aware, you have to be aware of who's going to come in with what, but you're also trying to be aware of what's happening on Zoom with them. And I'm telling you, it kicked my behind. I was like, what do I do? Huh?
It was tough, and I had the conceit, and people will see it, that I always had something to do. So a lot of times people were looking at my forehead. I always had something to do, which became a little distracting at times, because I always had something to do with my hands, and I showed the notebook and stuff like that. So I created this whole life on this side of the screen, but it was still trying to maintain connection, both as the technical piece of hearing the other actors speak around you, which is a big part of acting. People think, oh, you just get up there and you've done this work and you have these lines and they're just going to come naturally, and you really want them to feel spontaneous and you want them to be reactive to the person who says what they say before you. But at the same time, you're still clocking everything around you plus your stage business. And so instead of being on a set with people like Joan and Michelle and Zara and Patty and actually, dealing with them and not being self-conscious or self-focused, it actually added just another layer to the difficulty of actually presenting authentically a character when you have to have that extra layer of self-consciousness. It was difficult for me to release that. It was difficult for me to release it. I got to be honest. And the three things that I did, and I don't say that I'm not trying to plug anything, folks. This is like I did nothing for 20 months and now I do three things. But there was all a level of self-consciousness a little bit. There were times when I felt released and I enjoyed myself, but other times it felt like I never was waiting for you, but I did feel like I knew my line was coming in. In fact, I know that Kat had this at one point. She said, "Well, what we'll do is we'll take the best of these 6 takes and we'll cut them together and we'll cobble them together, and then we'll have the one thing that will show." Well, the point happens that she said, and she might explain this to you, you kind of can't. You kind of can't in this environment because no one is actually still or being in one place at one time for that period of time. So there were times when I was just absorbed in another actor's delivering of a line. I told that earlier, and I know I screwed up. I think of the 6 takes, I might have had almost a clean one. Almost. I think. That was difficult. Lucky me.
It is challenging. And I think one of the differences we get when we're doing live theater is everything that you guys have talked about. We're in the moment in that scene. And so we can be a lot more forgiving because we're invested in what the story is being told. And then in film, you do get to edit it out because you can, cut to the shot of the pen on the table or whatever. So that's a very, very good point.
But also watching, I'm sorry, Sam, but everybody's watching the characters grow and like theater, reacting to that and seeing what they're doing and seeing what they're bringing in. It's to me that was really, really, really exciting, and well, I enjoyed it so much. Even though you're looking at these
no, it's absolutely right. And I will say this about this group here because I've done now. This is my third one.
Yeah.
There was more investment, and this is to Kat because she forced us to do this. No, she requested us to do this. There was more investment in the life of each individual Zoom window than in the previous ones. And that's no reflection. I mean, we had a lot more rehearsal than the previous ones I did. We did one with one rehearsal, right?
Right.
So we had more time to invest in the life inside your Brady box window, your Brady Bunch box. And I think that will, so the audience, when they see it, they'll actually get a show. They can look at every window and they'll get a show. So I think,
That's 100%. And in fact, we've got one of our commenters, Dave Park, says he can't wait to see this show again. He laughed out loud several times. I know I did as well.
But Dave, I know you didn't laugh at me because I got no funny lines in this thing.
Yes, you do.
You've got funny lines.
But what it is it's exactly what you said, Ben. In every Brady Box window, there was something going on, and that was building a story that made everything land and just funny, just really funny. And then 90 West Production says, just like live theater, and we're talking about this in the hybrid part, the audience gets to see the scene in its entirety. And that was also a really fun aspect of watching this. So we're of this hybrid model where we're getting to just see everything, and it's not.
Right. And
It was
we gave
like you went into. Oh, sorry, you were saying.
I was just going to say, we gave some thought when Red and I were looking at different footage, and I would record different rehearsals and try different things with it. And I gave some thought to making it a little bit more cinematic and, switching to what I call speaker view, where it would be, in effect, the movie equivalent of a close-up. But to me, there was just always too much fascinating going on with everybody that I didn't ever want to cut away to focus on one character, because there was so much happening in all of the little windows that I feel like that would have been a disservice to the audience to force them to focus just on one person. Even as much as I would love what one person is doing in a scene, what everybody else was doing in the scene was always invested and always tied together. So it was, again, this is a hybrid form. It's not like watching a movie where we're cutting and we're only, the camera will force you to focus on one person. It has to be interesting in everybody's box.
Yep, the whole time.
Yeah.
Sarah, what were you gonna say as well?
This is almost like if you went to a live theater to watch a live show, but you secretly took like a video camera or you recorded it on your phone and you caught everything as it was going on. It was like that version of it, that take of it. It was like a real live take of it. And I think that's what this is, except you're just not face to face. You're just kind of watching like this pirated version, like, oh, somebody like snuck a copy out or something. But I think for me, this is like my first experience with a digital play. And I think it's totally awesome. And it's very new in its own right, in its own way. So I kind of just took it and ran with it. And personally, for me, I'm the kind of actress who likes to, my lines are better ingrained in my brain when I have blocking attached to them. Call it dancing if you want. And I do enjoy and love dancing. But when I have a certain move that goes with a certain line, it sticks better. So for me, I had to really time out the props. I'm like, okay, between this line and this line, I can play with this prop for 2 minutes, for twice, or, at this line, I have to switch over to this other prop. When that other character is delivering that line, I have to have this prop in my hand. So that's how I remembered it. And for me, it was more like kind of being in sequence and timing it out perfectly with the props. I don't know which take got taken, so I hope it conveys as we show this piece. But for me, it was a lot of being invested in the props. And I think for the character that I play, probably has more props going on than lines. This character has a short attention span. And one thing I loved about working with Catherine as the director is her feedback, because she said, this is not very long in duration. And you have this window, like Ben said, it's like your Brady Bunch window. And you can only show so much. So the amount of, the audience gets to know this character through their props, their costumes, the way they talk. And 10 to 15 minutes is not a long span of time to understand this character, their backstory, where they're coming from. And Kat explained it beautifully when she explained it to me. So she says, the more you can have, the more the audience will understand this character, where they're coming from, what their story is. And I think that was important. And for all of the characters in this play, everyone had a certain hairstyle or had a certain, a shirt they were wearing, or they had a certain prop that they had, or they were scribbling their notes. So you knew, it gave you a bit more context about this character, the storyline, and the backdrop of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sam, you're freezing. Everybody's kind of freezing. Maybe it's my system, but this rolls all the way back to the question, could this be a stage play? The fact that it's written as a Zoom play, I believe, is one of the beauty elements of it. It's written about people working within these constrained environments that are cocoon-like, protective, and we did a play where they have to read a lot of stage directions. Another one where a lot of stage directions were read, and they weren't written for a Zoom environment. And how, no matter if you have John Gielgud or Vincent Price reading the stage directions, it stops the flow of the piece. And in this piece, it was just, as soon as it took off, it was off. And we'll see that. As soon as it took off, it was off, and it didn't end until it ended. But there was nothing in it to break that excitement, that tension, the actors' through lines and their arcs. I thought if you write for the element, and it works in the element. That's where it fits. You know, taking a play, taking a book and putting it on screen is a whole different animal. A lot of changes made. Taking a play and putting it on screen is a different change. A lot of changes. So I think that there's something going all the way back to that I think this is perfect for the presentation mode.
Yeah, you really have to adjust what you're doing for the medium in which you're telling it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, so we just have a few more minutes. Real quickly, I want to say, Ben, Dave Park did say he laughs at you every time you walk on stage. So I wanted to make sure you saw that.
But he's laughing for different reasons. I am not.
Look, just say that.
We love you, Ray.
Love you, Dave.
All right, so this is going to be a real quick speed round. So I'm going to ask questions. It's not like word association. You can take a second. It can be short answer. But I'm just going to, as a short answer question, I'm just going to ask for each of you. First, we'll start with an easy one. What is your favorite dessert? We're going to start with Zara.
Ooh.
Favorite dessert.
It's this banana caramel custard at rock sugar. Okay, go next.
Oh, yummy. Oh, I want that. Kat, what's your favorite dessert?
The Southern girl has got to come out, pecan pie with whipped cream.
So good. Joan, what about you?
I like a warm chocolate croissant. Does that count?
Yes.
Good.
Ooh, I just got hungry. Michelle?
Well, lately it's been, what's a Girl Scout, I tell you, Girl Scout trefoil cookies with a little chocolate melted on top.
Yeah.
I love that. And if I could answer the question real fast about who my favorite brother is.
Oh, I was
your favorite brother too, Sam. And he was also my favorite reverend and my favorite humor. So hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. For those not knowing what's going on, Michelle and Daniel and I did Daddy's Dine, Who's Got the Will, and we are never letting go of that family.
That's right. Yes, especially on Father's Day. Yeah. Oh, and Dave was our father. Oh my God.
Dave was our father. Happy Father's Day, Daddy. Ben and Patty, favorite dessert.
You can see that there's not a dessert that I don't like, but my favorite, I'd have to say flan, maybe, if I can get a good flan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say a chocolate pecan caramel torte.
Ooh.
Now that was in San Francisco, and I'm sure that they're not there anymore. But
yummy! Oh my gosh, yummy. Okay, favorite genre, or this kind of goes what we were doing. Favorite mode of storytelling. We're gonna start this one with Joan.
Favorite mode, as in book versus play, or as in horror?
Yep. Either.
Times. Ooh. I like a good horror story in front of a fire with a chocolate croissant.
I love it. That's great. Michelle, what about you?
Favorite mode of storytelling? Play, theater.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Ben and Patty?
Theater.
Naturalistic drama with humor. With humor.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it could be musical, it could be a straight play, but it's got to have the human element of humor, because that's really what drives us. Humor, love, and sex. Those are theater.
That's true. That is true. Love it. Zara, what about you?
I love murder mysteries. Oh my God, I love murder mysteries.
Yes.
So that would be my thing. And I love Miss Fisher's murder mysteries. That's a fun show to watch.
Okay.
It's an Australian show.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
And I also love theater. I love books. And I also like pop-up books, because sometimes you don't feel like reading. You just want to look through pictures.
I love it. Kat, what about you?
I'm a musical theater fan. I think, when you get that heightened emotion that has to be sung rather than spoken, and so that's what I will fall back on. But I do like the ones, as Ben said, that have some heart to them, that come with a little bit of a naturalistic flair to them.
I love it. All right, last quick question. This is one name only. Which cast member or director would make the best pirate? Starting with Ben and Patty.
Zara. Crazy. She had her little sword.
You know, Zara and Patty. Zara, you were the pirate. Patty, you're my wife. So
No.
I just want to say, Joan feels like she can chew a barnacle off the bottom of a boat.
No.
And I think Joan would be the best pirate for me.
Joan would be the best pirate. Great. Zara, who's the best pirate?
Oh, I love playing the pirate. Can you vote for yourself just because it was fun?
There's no rule here.
I had so much fun. Me.
You make. I love it.
I think everybody here would make a great pirate, but I just had so
Thank
much
you.
darn
We'd
fun
all be good
doing it.
pirates. We just wouldn't be effective
Oh,
pirates.
thank you for casting me, Catherine.
You
Thank
could all
you.
wear the costume.
Yeah. What about you? Which one makes the best pirate?
I think Michelle, because when she boils over, she's got the anger. She's got that anger. If she'd been the one with the cutlass,
We would all.
we would have seen some damage. So
Good thing it was over Zoom.
Part of this moment.
Oh, we'd have had a murder mystery. Joan, who do you think's the best pirate?
Sorry, I was sitting by a picture window an hour ago and it was perfect lighting, and now I'm pushing myself against the picture window because it's dark. So I'm well lit. I think that if Ben had a cutlass against his neck, he could talk his way out of it. I'm gonna go for Ben. Yeah, I think he could talk
Johnny
his way out of it.
pirate, if you
Your
will.
dollar is in the mail.
Ben Lepakis is the Johnny Depp pirate of the group. Got it. Love it. All right. Michelle?
Oh, well, Zara looked really good in that costume, so, you know.
That she did. Must say.
My mom sewed that eye patch, and Catherine got me the shirt. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yay. Well, thank you all. Your show has started. I want to release everyone so we can all go watch Poetry, Prose, and Pirates. Thank you all so much for joining us. This was fabulous. You are a great bunch of people.
Thank
And I
you,
hope you'll-
Samantha, for having us.
Thanks for having us, Sam.
Super fun.
All right. Bye, everyone.